Who is Jesus? What did he do? How did he do it? Take that first question, who is Jesus? And you ask that question today, I think one of the answers that you'll hear quite often is that Jesus was a good teacher. He was a wise teacher. He came to show us how we ought to live. Every year around this time, Time Magazine often does a story because we're getting close to Easter. And so they'll do a cover story, or maybe like National Geographic or the Discovery Channel on TV. They'll ask this question. And almost always that's the direction they go. He's a good teacher, a wise teacher. He had a lot of important things to say. In fact, I was going back through the archives of Time Magazine. You can do that online now. And I was just curious, so I did a little search, articles about Jesus. And I found quite a number of stories. And one of the articles had a letter to the editor in it. And that letter to the editor summed up this approach really well. The person said in the letter, it doesn't matter who Jesus of Nazareth is or what he was. What's most important is the lessons that he taught. Right? That sums up what a lot of people think about Jesus today. Chances are pretty good that you work with some people, or maybe people in your family or friends, that they would give that answer. Jesus was a good teacher. Now, some people take this a step further. In fact, if you look at a lot of the major religions today, whether it's Jehovah's Witness or Mormonism or Islam, they'll actually go further. They'll say, no, Jesus was more than a teacher. He was a prophet. He was a very good and wise prophet who was sent by God on a mission from God. So not just a teacher, but actually a prophet, a messenger from God. Now, I want us to look at this passage, and let's see if these answers hold water. If you look with me at verse 21, here's Jesus' family, and here's their reaction to Jesus. We read that his family heard about Jesus and all the people gathered around him, and they went to take charge of him. Now, that little word there, to take charge of him, is a pretty good translation, but it might not be quite forceful enough. Because the word that's used there is a really strong word. You'd almost have to say that his family came to arrest him. That might be a little too strong, but it's pretty close. So here Jesus' family, they're hearing the things that Jesus is saying, his mom and his brothers and maybe other close family relatives. They're hearing the teachings of Jesus, and they come to the conclusion that Jesus needs to be stopped. He needs to be reined in. They need to bring him home, give him some warm milk, and calm him down, because he's so far off the deep end. And then you hear the accusations that they make. He's out of his mind. They come to the conclusion. This is Jesus' closest loved ones. They come to the conclusion that Jesus is mentally unstable. That's Jesus' family speaking. Then we go a little further into verse 22, and now these are the religious experts of the day. These are the people that probably would have recognized a prophet. And when they see Jesus, they come to the conclusion that Jesus is possessed by a demon. He's demon-possessed. They hear what Jesus is teaching, they hear what he's saying, and they assume that Jesus must be under the influence of Satan himself. Now here's the question that I want us to pause on for just a moment. Who is Jesus? If you say that he's just a teacher, or if you even just say that he's a prophet, would a good and wise teacher receive such a negative reaction? Would a good and wise teacher have received the reaction that says his family needs to come, seize him, drag him home, keep him quiet because he's mentally unstable? Does that sound like a good teacher? It doesn't to me. If Jesus is just a good teacher, if that's all he is, that's not the kind of reaction that you'd expect.